This lug nut won't go on the stud here. It tightens up right there at the beginning. I'll tell you how to diagnose the problem and fix it. So the first thing we have to know is the lug nut the problem or the stud? In order to determine that, we can take off one of these other ones. We know this is working perfectly. Both the stud and the nut are fine. So if this goes on, you can see it tightens up right there. That means the stud is the problem because we know this is good. So there's probably something messed up on the thread here. We're just going to clean it up with a die. First thing, we have to know what size this is because if we get the wrong size, we'll just make it worse. So we want to measure the pitch, get that right. And here's thread gauges that measure the pitch. This is metric and American. You want both because you might think it fits closely with American or metric, but you don't want to mix them up. I have already determined that this is a 1.5 millimeter thread. It fits perfectly in the teeth here. You could also put it in here on the other side, but it's a lot harder to tell looking inside the hole. So that tells us about the threads. Now we want to know about how big this is. This is called the major diameter, and it comes out right to just under 12 millimeters. Threads are normally slightly smaller than their nominal dimensions, so that would be a 12 millimeter bolt with 1.5 millimeters in between each thread. This die is perfect for what we need. It is an M12, that means 12 millimeters on the outside diameter and 1.5 millimeters in between the threads. That's the thread pitch. So this will clean up this perfectly. Normally you'd use a die wrench, but we can't fit it in here at all. And we're just cleaning up the threads. We're not cutting them. So a normal piece, normally you'd use a die wrench, but of course we can't get it in there. So we'll start it by hand and then just use a pair of pliers once it gets stuck. And it doesn't actually have a whole lot of pressure because we're not cutting threads, we're just cleaning them up. It's feeling pretty good. If it's too tight, you might be cross-threading, and that'll make it worse. And now this is working a lot better. If we found the nut to be the problem instead of the stud, you could just run a tap of the same size. This is an M12 1.5, and that would clean out the internal threads. We're ready to torque these up to 80 foot-pounds, and then we'll take it for a test run and come back and torque them again to make sure nothing came loose.